Hello, Bright Bunnies family. Welcome to another episode of Tips and Talents with Tashia, and I'm your host, Tashia. Today, we have Laura Walls as our guest. Laura is a speech therapist and the founder of Innovative Therapy for Kids. Laura specializes in pediatric feeding, has an experience of over 25 years, and she deals with, basic general language and speech disorders. Let's get to know her more and let's see what her story is. Hello, Laura. How are you?
Hi, Tashia. Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good as well. So, Laura, can you please introduce yourself a little bit so that our people can get to know you?
Yeah, sure. Like Tashia said, my name's Laura Walls. I'm a pediatric speech pathologist, and I specialize in autism, motor planning and apraxia, and feeding issues with the pediatric population. So we've had a private practice we're on our 22nd year now,
Oh,
which is a
wow.
long It's been a long time. And we see kids locally from different states and then also from all over the world. And I feel like we really specialize in intensive services where we look at a kid globally from their the educational perspective, medical perspective, and then family perspective. And we pull it all together into an intensive program to make a really big impact on the child's development.
That's quite impressive. So, Laura, what made you become a speech pathologist? Like, there was some point, there was some, I know it's been too long, but what can you remember? What made you, you know?
Where I was thinking psychology, and so went into psych classes and had a lot of questions
Right.
about the parameters of psychology, and then started working with a speech pathologist, and I really found a lot of joy in helping people communicate and
Yeah.
being the best person that they could be, and then got into adult therapy using with swallowing therapy, and then trach vent patients at the VA in San Francisco. And then I came down here and worked in the NICU for high-risk infants for feeding disorders and motor planning delays, and then started my private practice here. That's how we got into it. So yeah, I love what I do. I'm not bored yet.
And I'm sure you will never be bored
I don't think so.
because obviously when you're doing something that you love, you can never get bored of it.
Oh, we love it so much. And I have an awesome team of 14 therapists. And we have a different view. We really look at a whole kid and family
Mhm.
instead of just the piece of speech pathology. So we have occupational physical therapy, child
Right,
psychology, and
right.
educational specialists. So all of us together look at these kids and their families and put together amazing programs.
Okay, that's great. That's great to hear. So, I wanted to ask how did innovative therapy came? How did you establish that? What was the goal behind it? Or you started your private practice and then it went from there. How did it
Yeah.
start?
Innovative started by me just owning the speech component, and then somebody else owned OT, psych, and PT. And I have a pretty good business mind, so started putting all of it together. And then
Right.
there was no bars, because then it wasn't like, okay, OT can handle this, but they don't want to refer to speech.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
think all of the disciplines are really important. And
Yeah.
so we named it innovative because we are very innovative in our approaches. And we look at the kid again, and I say it over and over, we look at the kid as a whole instead of a diagnosis. And, there's been so many kids that have come in here from the beginning. When we started, it was just, do speech therapy, get them to communicate. And now we look at the whole kid. How are they communicating? What are they saying? Pulling it all together with all the disciplines. So it's so impactful for them. And our whole thing was reach for the stars. Nothing's impossible. And
That,
we've just proven that again and again and again. And it's been really effective. We don't advertise. We're
right.
packed. Yeah, we have 350 visits next week
Oh,
after
wow.
this.
That's
And
amazing.
usually, yeah, no, it's big. And so it's all word of mouth, it's all what we do, and we really strive to be the best and most innovative we can be
Mhm, mhm.
without hitting the parameters of just that myopic focus. Yeah.
So, Laura, in these 22 years, do you remember, I'm sure there are going to be many incidents, but do you remember anything that, you're like, okay, this is why I am doing this, or, this is why I became a speech pathologist, or, or I created innovative.
The way I became a speech pathologist was the psych program was impacted. So I was put with speech, and there was a gal that was nonverbal,
Yeah.
and she was really kind of curled in her chair, not speaking. And so I found different ways to get her to communicate without knowing that that was part of speech pathology. So I got really into it after that. And innovative, it just with insurance and mindsets and educational systems, they all have a different path. And my goal was really to open up all of the paths, to put it all together, to bridge the gap between medicine, education, family thoughts, doctors' impressions, that type of thing, and just really open it up. And so that's where innovative came from.
Came from. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. And I just wanted to, like, the last time I was interviewing a person and I asked her the same question. I always wanted to know, okay, what do you think one thing that we lack, as a, we all have different abilities, right? But what the people who are considered normal, or neurotypical, what do they lack? I know most of them, they don't understand how the person with different ability is. So what do they lack? What do you think that they should learn or have in this?
I think the gift in really opening up your perspective is seeing how communication and interaction isn't a one-way street. And I think that we're getting even more and more closed into opinions and interactions with, being limited to social media.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
just taking a step back, I think, and just taking even 5 seconds and looking at somebody and thinking, I wonder how that person feels, or I wonder what they're thinking. Or instead of having an opinion, just look at them and look at their body language and look at the interactions. And I think that's very important to do every day.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I agree, because most of the time when we look at somebody who is different than us, then our first instinct is, like, to create a distance, or to move
Yeah.
away. So I
Yeah.
think that is very important for everybody to learn, that this is not the case. We should just learn to bridge this gap. And I think
Yeah.
and I'm sure your 22 years of experience, you must have seen a lot of such cases.
I also think something else that pops to mind is just because a kid has special needs, or whatever you want to call it, isn't neurotypical, we still need to treat them the way that we treat all kids, and
Yeah,
make them proud, and give them parameters and boundaries, and have them participate in family life, and do dishes, and make their bed, and throw their laundry in the basket,
yeah,
make them the best that they could be. There's so much potential. So every kid that comes in here, there's untapped potential. If they've seen 10 therapists, 50 therapists, there's still more, and there's
definitely.
always more. And I think we just need to be open to that more,
Yeah,
and make it the best we could be. And it also is a gift for the person in their
definitely.
lives,
There's always more to a person than we see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
And
Um,
that's really
so I'll come to my one question that I need to ask. What do you think about? I think Simon personally, right?
yes, I
And
do.
what do you think about bright berries? And what are your do you have any thoughts or advices how we can improve, or just share your thoughts and your what do you think as to how we can improve?
Gosh, I like the direction it's going. I think it's making some nice trajectory for helping so
Yeah,
many people
yeah,
on a broad scale, and that's very Simon's personality. We got to do this. We got to make it happen. I
yeah,
love that. The way to improve, I don't know, to have more languages, to have a transcription, so an option at the bottom so you can transcribe what the person is saying. So we got an intake from you guys this week, actually, somebody from Mexico. And I would say my Spanish is okay. I don't think it's great, but
yeah,
the dad wanted to say everything. And I wish I got a translator now for myself, just so when we have a conversation, it will translate in front of us. But I
yeah.
don't want language to be the barrier. because
Yes,
we have
definitely.
kids coming in from China, we have kids coming in from Dubai, we have kids coming in from Europe, and that it's never the barrier that creates that. But I think the beginning relationship, it seems so difficult because like, I can't understand you,
I
and so I would like
get it.
that underneath to have that transcription so
Yeah.
everybody can join in.
Yeah, I agree. And for in countries like which are not very developed, speech therapy or any other therapy is not given that much importance to, and to have something like innovative, I think it
Yeah.
is very helpful. For people who just who don't have such facilities, like for example in our country or in other countries as well. So I think it's a great opportunity, and Bright Buddies is that platform, to connect everybody
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Uh,
And
for,
that is, it's so awesome. I mean, the concept is amazing, isn't it? And and a lot of times it's just coaching. I coach so many different parents and teams and professionals, and just giving them little tips.
yeah,
And and just little things can make the hugest impact.
definitely. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally
so
have.
I love the concept of Bright Buddies and the supplements and the books. And it's amazing. He's
It's
amazing that
you know
he's done this.
cute, and it's amazing that like the whole idea plus the book, especially, you just get into.
Love it.
I love the characters and the animations, everything is.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's I love it. I mean, it's so Simon-esque. Simon always has these amazing ideas and these big ideas, and nothing will stop him. And
Yeah,
it's a passion project for him, and he's going to make it happen. You
yeah,
know, at
definitely,
the end of
definitely.
the day, we're all the same, aren't we?
We are 100%. 100%. So, without, extending it, I just wanted to ask one last thing. Any tips that you want to share with your community or people, what, your words of advice, with your experience? I'm sure you have a lot to
Yeah,
say.
I don't limit your thoughts to a diagnosis,
Hmm.
because those diagnoses are so broad.
Yeah.
And so we really want to look at the gifts that a child might have or
Hmm.
does have, and really work with those gifts to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, so it gets rid of some of the symptoms that aren't so favorable.
Okay.
Right. And so I think looking at that is very important. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never give up.
Don't
That
give
that's
up. Yeah,
yeah.
there's so many options. There's so many opportunities. There's so much out there that we can identify. And I think early intervention is the best because, the brain's in that neuroplastic place where so much change can be made. And I think in some communities, they just let it be, let it be. Oh, it's the kid, it's the way he is, all of that. It needs to be addressed early,
Yes, it,
because
it
that
does.
kid's going to have more of a chance than if we wait until they're 8 or 9 or 10.
I agree with you. And my daughter, when she was born, she had Erb's palsy. Her
Mhm, mhm.
arm got stretched. So, and we got to know it the next day. And within 6 months, by the blessing of God, Alhamdulillah, she is like 1.5 now. 1.5 years of age, and she's perfect,
Yes.
and early. And so I agree with you, early intervention is best. And I
Yeah,
think
it is
that
the best.
that is
Yeah. So, it's just important, and it doesn't hurt to address something.
yeah.
Our goal as parents is to make them the best they could be.
Definitely, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Laura, for being with
Oh,
us and
it's my pleasure.
taking out the time. I just love your personality, and
Oh,
I'm super
thank
innovative.
you. I love to help you anyway.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tasha. Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate you so much.